More Elder Scrolls list. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. 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 Here's the song. Before you ask. All right. Elder Scrolls skills. Why is there no bad tier? There's only a tier for the worst skill, which doesn't mean it's bad. Why is this? Why is there no bad skills? Because you can do anything. In Skyrim, the game is designed so that you are the Dragonborn, and that means that you can be the president of the United States and cure cancer and use the dragon tongue and save the Mojave Wasteland. You're able to do anything and everything. This was described as the Skyrim cycle, where every single build, no matter what you try to specialize in, has enough perk points left over that you can become a stealth archer. By taking the 5 sneak points at the beginning and taking the 5 archery points at the beginning of those 2 skills, any build can be a stealth archer. This is made even worse with the DLC Special Edition Anniversary Edition, where you are given the ability to legendary a skill, which means that if you just legendary Alteration like 200 times, you can get every perk for all skills at 100, and yeah, it's bonanzas. But I mean, you can still say some are better than others, right? Like if you have heavy armor and light armor both maxed out to 100, one of them is still better. They both block damage, but they also have other like perks in their skill tree to consider. So like we'll be going off of that. I think that's all the preamble though, right? Probably should have done this for the other one, but oh well. I think skills will get more views anyways. Alright. Destruction. Starting off strong. Destruction is the worst skill of the game. Destruction damage caps kind of weirdly. You have to like really go out of your way to amp destruction damage in the game to like a reasonable degree at all. And then once you do, it's like, okay, to like actually reasonably cast really high-end destruction spells too, you gotta have like insane magicka. Otherwise, just cheese it with enchanting, but at that point, you know, like, why even bother? Because then it's just like an auto win button. It's really boring to level 2, it's really slow. It takes forever. Like, two-handed and one-handed archery all levels significantly faster than destruction, and it makes no sense to me. It's so annoying to level. All the perks are pretty worthless too. Like, you just do more damage, and then they have effects on death, but not before then. Dual casting is kind of cool, but I mean, you can dual wield. I think destruction is overall the worst. I've tried to do a mage before, and I only made it to like, I think, like 40 hours because I just got bored of just like firing off a Kamehameha and then having to fire off 20 more because the enemies can take the damage on like normal difficulty. It's really annoying to play as a mage. Restoration is good. It's probably at the top of okay, because it has certain benefits if you don't plan on using enchanting to get your skills to 100. You get recovery, respite, and regeneration, which all make it just much better. The biggest reason why I actually think, though, I'm going to put restoration in good, and it'll be like at the bottom, is because of the fact that you're able to, I don't remember which one it is, the perk called, but you're able to eventually restore stamina with restoration. And that's the big one. Just being able to run forever with it, and especially in combat. If you don't like fiddling with certain things like tomato soup or using your enchantments on restoration, you can pretty much invest only in the restoration tree and keep your magic at like 100 and still into the late game be using it pretty well. Restoration is, I'm going to put it at the bottom, it's good. Alteration is really good. Alteration magic itself is like pretty questionable. The stone, what is it, oak flesh, stone flesh, iron flesh, those don't matter. Those all fall off. Your armor casting can only ever reach, I think, like 480 something. Once you hit that, all armor negates the same amount of damage, and it can't go above that. Alteration doesn't push it past that. So, it doesn't really matter that you can do that. It's helpful early on, I guess, but the big reason you use Alteration is for, like, transmute mineral ore to levels smithing. And then you use telekinesis or detect life to power level it, because you want magic resistance and you want astronaut. Even without being a mage or enchanting anything on your body, you can have 30% magic resist and 30% chance to absorb spell from any enemy just because you invest in some alteration perks. And considering it's the easiest skill in the game to level once you get higher up, and you get Detect Life, it's pretty likely you'll end up with a high alteration skill anyways. Water breathing kind of has its own purpose. I believe alteration is also paralysis, which is a pretty good spell. But mostly transmute mineral ore. If you're playing on the like PS4 and Nintendo Switch, you'll really appreciate Candlelight too. But mostly magic resistant astronaut is pushing it up. Enchanting is probably the best skill in the game. If you want to be a mage and you've invested 0 into your magicka, just enchant your skill down to 0, and then you can cast it for free. If you want to be a two-handed warrior in the middle of like your one-handed campaign and you've got no two-handed perks, just put on every item of your body that you can plus two-handed damage, and then you're stronger than your one-handed build with two-handed weapons. If you want to like literally one-shot anything, invest fully into like archery, and then enchant like paralyze, fiery soul trap, absorb stamina, just like insane. Enchanting is also so broken because it doesn't just affect your skill. Like okay, like a skill everyone really thinks is overpowered in this game is sneak. But let's say you haven't invested in sneak. Well, just enchant plus 100 sneak onto your character. What if you want a pickpocket but you don't have any pickpocket, right? Enchant plus 100 pickpocket onto your character. What if you want to be an illusionist or level conjuration? Enchant it onto your character. It's so broken when you get down to it. There's also the fact that by wearing enchanted things, you can grind certain skills faster. So, by enchanting smithing onto your equipment and then leveling smithing, you'll shorten that process drastically, which is so helpful. Same with alchemy. So many of these that you'll wear that will boost your skill will make it easier to grind the skill too, which is really important to note. Enchanting is also kind of necessary because you need to start buffing your like weapon damage once you reach like the 60s or 70s. Just because enemies will scale with you, but your damage like caps at legendary. So you need to kind of be wearing things that buff the damage or boost your smithing when you make the weapon to kind of stay competing. And having a high enchanting helps with that. The effects is mostly what it comes down to. Just putting Paralyze and Fiery Soul Trap on any weapon just turns it into like basically a cheese weapon. You can just beat the game with anything if you just put Paralyze and Fiery Soul Trap on anything. I really don't like. The thing is, everyone says stealth archery is the strongest build in Skyrim, and I agree. At a high level, it's the strongest, but any player can become a stealth archer without investing into stealth or archery with enchanting. Enchanting is like banana balls broken. It's insane. Smithing is very good, obviously. It's not like broken or anything. Like with enchanting alone, you could honestly not improve any of your armor or weapons and still be good, but like early on it's nice. Being able to craft weapons of any type is nice. The bigger thing that annoys me is mostly just the weapons. Like, I hate that you have to be, if you want to use like glass armor and ebony weapons, you have to invest in both sides. I think maybe a smarter way to go about it would have been to have the tree loop around, so that once you get dragon, you can go to the other side without like doing like dwarven and orcish. But maybe that's just me. But yeah, smithing is pretty good. Being able to make your own Daedric armor is good because of how rare it is. Dragon armor is really cool. You're gonna find it like twice in your game. Blocking is okay. There's just no need to block. Like, I don't know. You could come up with some reason, but you can just snipe anyone, or you can just rush in and just hit them and kill them before they hit you. I think blocking is honestly the best use for blocking in Skyrim is that it's incredibly easy to power level against giants. So like whenever you have like a lot of perks that you have available that you want, but you don't have any perk points, you can just slap on a shield if you're high enough level and just go power level it with giants. You can go from like level 20-ish to like level 100 in like 20 to 30 minutes. If you just have a high enough restoration to stay there the entire time. It'll stay near the top of OK because of that, but that doesn't make it a genuinely good skill. Heavy armor is good, obviously. I think we'll put it like right here. So, with enough enchantments or whatever, you don't need to increase your heavy armor at all to reach the cap. And depending on how many smithing perks you have, you don't even need like really high tier heavy armor to reach the cap. I think steel armor is the weakest armor you can reach the level cap with. So it's all aesthetics. The only really good effect that heavy armor has is... Let me look it up. I believe it's the final perk you get. Yeah, reflect blows. You have a 10% chance to reflect melee damage, which is really insane. That's a very good perk. If it weren't for aesthetics, I would always choose heavy armor because of the final perk being reflect damage. Reflect damage is just insane, honestly. But you can cap out heavy armor pretty easily. Reaching the level cap with like just steel armor or using enchantments on like any mid-tier armor, you'll reach the 480 cap anyway, so it doesn't matter. But reflect damage is a very good perk, so it's honestly going in here just for that. Two-handed is pretty good. You deal an insane amount of damage per blow, but it is completely outclassed by one-handed. You do two-handed because you like it. Because you like the feeling of swinging around a warhammer, or like slicing someone in half with a greatsword, or beheading people with a war axe. You don't do it because it's better. The perks are mostly identical, except for the fact that dual wielding just allows you to get 4 enchantments off at once. So there's just no way it competes. But you can still beat the game with any warhammer enchanted with paralyzed fiery soul trap. So I think I'll put it at the top of OK, because it's just outclassed. One-handed is like the strongest combat skill aside from archery. We'll put it like... Yeah, we'll put it like right here. But it is better than heavy armor, because investing into it, there is no damage cap. There's an armor cap, but there's not a damage cap, so investing into one-armed is actually worth it, unlike heavy armor. So you have the ability to do rush attacks, you can do standing power attacks that have a chance to decapitate, and backwards power attacks always have the chance to paralyze. Dual wielding makes your attacks do more damage, which basically compensates for the weakness compared to two-handed weapons. And then from there, just being able to hit 4 enchantments at one time is just too strong. Like absorb stamina, paralyze fiery soul trap, and then like whatever else you feel like. Maybe just another fiery soul trap, another paralyze. So like paralyze on both weapons. One-handed dual wielding is insane. One-handed is also the best combat skill outside of archery because of its flexibility. you can dual wield anything. So you can have a sword in one hand, and then have your offhand be alternating between like healing spells, another sword, a shield, illusion magic for combat, alteration for like stone flesh, conjuration for summoning something, right? You can do anything. Which I think is what pushes it up above heavy armor. Probably better than smithing too. Archery, when it's fully leveled up, is the strongest combat skill in the game. It's a pain to like level that high, and I think it starts off significantly weaker than every other form of combat, but the perks just push it over the edge. I think there's literally a perk that makes it so that any sneak attack can... I haven't played as a stealth archer in a very long time, so I'll look it up to make sure I'm not saying it wrong. But it's hard to be an archer now because it done it a lot. Bullseye. Yeah, any bull shot, any shot. What is it? Ranger or quick shot? Okay, we're ranger and quick shot. No, so it's not critical hits. It's any shot has a chance to paralyze. Yeah, it's absurd. So you don't even have to put paralysis on there, but you can stack paralysis on your bow anyways, and it's even stronger. A lot of the really good perks take stamina, right? What is it? Yeah, Eagle Eye. And Steady Hand. Those take up stamina, so you could, because it has, what is it, passive paralysis, you could get Bullseye and then use Absorb Stamina and Fiery Soul Trap. And it's insane, you know? This is light armor, which is just strictly outclassed by heavy armor. But it's still not bad. It's just completely outclassed. I think the final perk is the ability to avoid all damage the same rate as Reflect, but obviously Reflect is just better. They both cap out the same, and they both have the same perks. Heavy armor just has better perks because it also has the falling damage perk and the unarmed damage perk, but those don't really matter. I think I'll leave that in good, because it's still a good perk to just be able to ignore all damage. And those other two are for like bar fights and exploring. It doesn't really matter too much for combat. Sneak. Yeah, Sneak. Sneak is still so good. I think it's a tier above all the abilities below it. But I don't think it's as good as Enchanting. It's still too good to be in the same tier with the rest of them, though. Sneak just allows you to just bypass the game. If you're high enough Sneak, you can just walk through a dungeon without fighting anything. If you're high enough Sneak, you can, like, kind of bypass Pickpocket too. Because Sneak will, like, amp your Pickpocket chance, so it's like, it doesn't even matter if you invest in Pickpocket at that point. Sneak is good because it works in conjunction with all weapon types. No matter what weapon type you're using, you can land sneak attacks. Except for Destruction. Because it's down here in Piss. Sneak worked well with light armor, but you can even sneak with heavy armor at 2, because if you get, I think it's muffled movement. So it doesn't even matter if you choose heavy armor. You can still just sneak around. It's funny. I think that's fine to leave it there. I don't think Archery quite makes it up here, though, because it's annoying early on. Lockpicking is, like, okay. If you're just willing to buy enough lockpicks, you can pick any chest. And investing all the way up to Locksmith and Unbreakable, I think is the perk. It does make it more convenient, but it's purely convenience. Like 100% convenience. I don't think that makes it good. I think that being able to pick locks without being noticed is good if you don't plan on investing into stealth. And producing keys is kind of okay if you don't like the lockpick minigame. It's a good perk to take if you don't like the lockpick minigame, because then you won't have to do it again. But honestly, that perk makes it harder to level lockpick. So it's kind of a bad perk. Obviously, the ones that make you more money are worthless, and then Locksmith and Unbreakable are really good. But you don't need to pick locks like almost ever. You get enough lockpicks to do what you need to anyways. Pickpocket is right above lockpick. The reason Pickpocket is here is because at level 50 you get extra pockets, which only takes 3 skill points to reach. The initial one for Pickpockets out of 5, which will help you reach there faster. I don't remember what the one in between is, I'm going to be real with you. And then you get extra pockets, which gives you 100 extra carrying capacity. You don't have to invest any points in a Pickpocket to get it to 100. You could get Pickpocket to 100 with 0 perks. Not even enchanting, just save loading. I know that's kind of exploity. But if we're not putting it low because you can just cheese it, it's low because it would be nearly... You would be spending a lot of time in jail trying to level it early on, and a lot of NPCs would hate you. Unless you're willing to wait until you can do like this. But even then you can always be caught, so it's kind of ass. It's only this high because of extra pockets. If it weren't for extra pockets, it would unironically be at the bottom. Speech is like actually worthless. But unlike Destruction, it's not like disappointing and like outclassed. Speech is just how much you make like selling shit and doing speech checks, but like speech checks don't matter. You can always progress through every single quest that has a speech check without it. And you sometimes even passing the speech checks leads to like bugs, because like they intend for you not to actually be able to pass them. So yeah, the only thing I think about this that's like a good perk is I'd have to look at it. I don't think there's like the Black Widow perk in Skyrim. No. It's just prices with the opposite sex. It's not even damage. The one really good thing... It's not even good. It's not good. I take that back. It's not good. But the one fun thing about speech is when you gain the ability to invest in people's shops, it actually makes them like you. So there's a lot of NPCs in the game that are purely merchants that will never be able to be moved to like you. And if you're one of those people who loves walking through a city and just feeling everyone worship you, it is nice to be able to invest in merchants too and have them like you. But that's like so niche. It's like at the bottom. Alchemy. So to be fair, I never make my own potions because the game gives you too many potions just for free. So let's look at the perks. Snake blood, so you can actually increase your poison resistance with alchemy. I didn't know that. It's pretty cool. Purity seems good. I think where did I put block? It's like it's gonna go right below block. It's very good for power leveling for other skills. And there is like a completionist part of me that kind of wishes I could get to a Skyrim save where every alchemy ingredient was like all effects discovered, but Man, that's gonna take a long time. I don't know if I got that in me. I don't know if I got that dog in me. Of course, the restoration loop is like the most infamous glitch ever, and you have to use alchemy to do it. You can brew potions similar to enchanting, but it takes more effort because you have to like go track down specific ingredients and like all that other shit. And like potions weigh stuff, and like potions are kind of heavy, so. I mean, maybe because like snake blood is something that you genuinely can't get. Otherwise, we'll bump it up like here. Illusion. So I actually read up on illusion because it's one of the only skills I don't really understand what it did, and I thought it capped out super early. Illusion caps at I think level 60 enemies, and then from there you have to use other things to buff it, like enchantments. So it's already incredibly limited on its own. But there is a perk that you can only get with illusion, and that's why we're going to put it that high. Silent casting is a perk that you get from illusion at I think level 40 or level 60, I can't remember. But it only costs 4 perk points to reach it. Quiet casting means that no one can hear any of your spells from any school of magic. So being able to cast invisibility or muffle anywhere you want is very nice. It's a bit steep, but obviously if you're willing to legendary skills, it's not that much, so. But yeah. Personally, I just don't think the effects are that strong. Like, making enemies run away, it's like, okay, but you can just beat them. The main cool point for illusion is that you're able to interact with hostile NPCs with calm. So, like, you can go into a Forsworn camp and just, like, chill. But it's not really worth it to me. I think the only good thing is quiet casting. Conjuration is kind of just like two-armed, but it takes even more work. So you can conjure all sorts of weapons. You can conjure archery bows, and you can conjure 2 Daedric swords, but the argument I think is that you don't have to weigh, it doesn't weigh anything to carry your spells, but it does for weapons. But you can enchant your weapons with Paralyze and Fiery Soul Trap. And even beyond that, the effects you get from Conjuration are just not that good. Like, Banish and Soul Trap are like, okay, but Paralyze is much better. If you're using Conjuration to, like, get extra allies, that's, like, pretty good. But even then, you're just gonna level up Conjuration to, like, whatever ally you want, and then stop there. So even at that, I think there are just like the Sanguine Rose summons allies too. You don't have to invest for that. You have companions. Being a werewolf lets you be like, lets you get the Totem of the Hunt, or the Totem of Brotherhood. I can't remember what it's called, but it just seems outclassed. But I've never done a full run of Conjuration, so maybe I should, and then I'll change my mind. If you want to see me do a full run of any of these skills that I've kind of explored less, that I was honest about, tell me and I'll try. But it's very hard to force myself on Skyrim, man. If you disagree with anything, tell me below. I think people are going to disagree with these the most, right? Obviously, they're going to be like, no, everything should be good. And then they're going to say I put Restoration too high. But you know what? These are down here because they just have one good, like, convenience perk. Yeah, honestly. But yeah, it should be noted, this is the order I would rank them, like, objectively, but I always play, like, always, Restoration, Alteration, One-Handed, Light Armor, Speech, Enchanting. I don't usually mess with Sneak too much. I kind of passively use it, but other than that, no. I don't really like Archery in this game. It's, like, strong, and that's fun, but I don't, like, enjoy using Archery. I like the crossbows though. I think crossbows are really fun. These are skills, but we didn't include werewolf or vampire. Werewolf would go in good, and vampire would go in good. They're both just good. They're just like plus. So. I stream on Twitch. Nick is a neat. I have a VOD channel. Nick is a VOD. And I have a Twitter. Nick is a neat. Tell me what you would change below. Yeah, look at this final image. Destruction mages are seething right now. Who does destruction in the Winterhold? Feralda, an absolute shambles. All right. Bye.